All because of this stuff. So let's talk about why we care, why we really have to care about this, why in your own self-preservation you need to care. Not for the good of society, but for the good of your family. Why is this coming to your home? It's because of the rise of pills. China banned fentanyl in 2018 at the request of the Trump administration. Good move by the administration. Their heart was in the right place. Their head was absolutely in the wrong place. They should not have done that, but they did. They got China to stop making it in 2018. So what happens? Mexico picks up all the manufacturing. China sends them the precursor. Mexico starts making it. Guess what? Those manufacturers are no longer an ocean away. We went from Chinese scientists an ocean away to expert drug traffickers who now have control of this entire manufacturing base. And the difference between Chinese scientists and Mexican drug cartels is the Mexican drug cartels are expert drug traffickers. Once again, forget what you think you know about drug trafficking. These are not thugs with machine guns who have nothing in their toolbox but violence. These are very smart people who've been marketing illicit drugs for a long, long time, and they have all their trade routes set. Legal trade routes, but they got them. Okay? And they know how to use them, and they know how to sell drugs. So they made a marketing decision. As soon as they got their hands on this fentanyl stuff, they made a brilliant marketing decision. They said, this powdered fentanyl, it replaces heroin. So that means this powdered opioid is for the addicted people who shoot, snort, and smoke. That's like 3 million people in America. So that's a good market, 3 million people, and they all use 10 times a day, and they'll sell their bodies and steal to get the money. That's a pretty good market, sure. But there are 25, 30 million people in America abusing opioid pills every single day out of pill mills in the Midwest. We produce 77 billion doses of opioid in the year 2018. That's twice as many as we really need. They were all going out to illicit purpose. So the Mexicans saw that and they said, wow, look at that. But these people aren't going to go after a bag of powder. That's for junkies. I take my opioid the clean way with a pharmaceutical pill. It's all fake, as we know. If I'm taking anything that's stimulating my immune receptors, I'm an opioid user. But there's a stratification in this world. And these people say, I'm not a junkie. I'm not going to use a powder bag of drugs and snort it up. I want a clean pill. So the Mexicans said, hey, we're going to please. So guess what? We're going to start cracking this stuff in the pill, and we're going to rush to the 25 million. They're getting so fortunate about 101 million people, 13 to 34 in America. That's their real market. We would call this their total available market, their TAM, right? Versus their SAM, the world of business. And this is how they think. They think in terms of TAM and SAM and EBITDA and all that. There's a businessman. Okay? That's what they were going after. That's what changed when we went China to Mexico. Business people who knew how to traffic illicit drugs took over the manufacturing. And look what they did. Look at this. 2015, 0 pills. This is from the Phoenix Field Office, DEA. 2015, 0 pills interdicted. 2016, 20,000, 54,000, 380, 1.4 million, 6 million, 10 million already this year, heading to twice that. These are interdicted rates. So multiply by what? I don't know, 20, 50, 100 times of what's actually coming in. This is what's being interdicted in one field office. So we multiply by 100. It's all about pills. This is what's happening. There's this massive shift to pills happening. Now we're getting to the North Shore of Long Island. I don't think too many kids in this room, or the kids of people in this room, are really shooting out for snorting heroin. Some will, absolutely some will. Some will get that affliction of substance use disorder, and right now, someone in this room is going to struggle with a heroin addict in the next couple of years. There's no doubt about it. But for all of us in this room, these pills are everything. Heck, taking a Xanax pill at a party, that's probably lower on the scale than drinking or smoking marijuana. I got to tell you, my nephew, when I first started this, had just graduated from Syracuse University. And he said to me, Uncle Michael, 2 things you should know starting into your advocacy. He said, I just graduated from Syracuse. It's a good school. And he said 2 things about the kids. When I first got to Syracuse, I was amazed I was absolutely amazed at two things. The level of kids who came to college and went crazy partying. Division I athletes, top academic scholarship, musicians, drama people, every kind of creature at college, high achiever came to college, and they could not say no to any kind of drugs or alcohol. It was unbelievably universal. Number one. Number two, no one, and he said the word 3 times to make the emphasis. No one my age ever asks what it is. So the kid goes to the party, they take a pill. 5 years ago, that pill, if it said Oxy, it was Oxy. If it said Vicodin, it was Vicodin. If it said Xanax, it was Xanax. Adderall, it was Adderall. Someone had gotten it from a prescription somewhere. Yes, and the root of a lot of those prescriptions were illicit, these pill mills, but they were clean, well-made pharmaceutical pills that found their way into the wrong place. Okay, one Xanax pill ain't gonna hurt anybody. 2, 3 Percocet pills in the training room for an athlete ain't gonna hurt anybody. Nobody's gonna get addicted on that. No big deal. But within the past 3 years, this has all been replaced. So now when your kid on the North Shore Long Island goes to the party Friday night and takes the pill out of the prescription bottle from their friend, there's about a 1 in 4 chance that it came from a Mexican drug lord and it's filled with fentanyl and it's going to kill them. 3 years ago, that wasn't the case. 5 years ago, it absolutely never happened. But here we are. And when something happens at this scale, in this time frame in our country, there's no way to keep up. There's no way for people to keep up. There's no way the kids could ever know. 26% of all these pills seen in the field office were lethal. 1 out of 4 lethal. And when I say lethal, you know what the newest dynamic we're seeing all the time? The half pill. I just, 12 days ago, this woman's son died. I talked to today. Half pill. Half pill, half pill, half pill. Somebody has a sense that something's very dangerous out there, so these kids are breaking them in half. Breaking it in half. Divided in 100, it'll still kill you. There's enough fentanyl in that bad end of the batch to kill a football team. You're breaking it in half. Break it into whatever you want. It's still going to kill you. We're talking about something that somewhere in that pill of 300 milligrams, is the typical size of the pill, is a few grains of salt. And if there are a few extra grains of salt, it will kill you. You think the bullet blender is mixing it at that level? No. Thank you very much. It's not. It's killing a lot of people. 26% of all these pills were tested to be lethal. Okay? And here we go. Which one's real, which one's fake? Here you go, that's your Xanax. By the way, Xanax, alprazolam, benzodiazepines. That's fentanyl doing it. It's an opioid. What do they care? You think they're doctors? They don't care. They got this stuff. It's cheap, it's plentiful. People want illicit drugs, they pack it in. You think they know the difference or care? And there's another one. Get one word out of your head. I've been fighting the media on this one for 3 years. There is no such thing as a laced pill. There is no such thing as a laced pill. These are not laced with fentanyl. They're made from fentanyl. The people making these fake pills have no access to alprazolam. They have no access to real drugs. They're drug traffickers whose only drug is the stuff they're making illegally. They don't have access to real Xanax. There's no lacing here. It's a fentanyl pill. Looks a heck of a lot like the real Xanax, so doesn't it? You want to bet your life on your ability to tell the difference at a party in dim lighting? Because that's what you're doing. Because if you got the wrong one, it sure looks the same to me. I don't know. So let's talk about this a minute. Paradigm shift. Paradigm shift. Thomas Kuhn, Structure of Scientific Revolution, talks about the fact that when we're doing scientific experiments, we do A and we add A and we B and we get C. We add A prime, B prime, we get C prime. Got a predictable set of variables. I got a predictable result, and then one day I do A and I do B and I get C. Whatever. When I can't explain it and I've gone through all my variables and I can't figure out what happened, something in the environment changed we call a paradigm shift. In other words, all of the assumptions of the experiment change, move to a different plane, if you will. The problem doesn't get worse or better, the problem changes to a different problem. What we're seeing in the opioid epidemic is a paradigm shift from the old paradigm to the new, and the new paradigm is the North Shore one. Okay? So why do we talk about this? Let me walk you through this data a little bit. It's one data slide I'll show, and it's very interesting, and it has to do with why we really have to worry about it. This is drug death in America, 1979 to 2014, in the blue. Okay? I saw this data presented in 2019. I saw it presented in 2015 on a video. So the scientist presenting it only had this much data. And he shows this line at a scientific conference, and everyone gasps. Why? Because when I looked at this line from 79 to 2014, if you're used to looking at data slides, we call that a linear progression, right? It's very linear. So you've got this millions and millions of data points over 50 years that plot out in a linear fashion. That's weird. That's hard to explain. That's hard to understand. And so the scientist presenting it says, wow, look how linear this is. In fact, when I smooth it out and I tested it, it's 0.97 linear. It's perfectly linear. That's weird. No one can understand why. And he says, why is it linear? This is very, very prestigious scientist in public health. He says, I don't know. It just is. But in some sense, I don't care. I only know that it is, so I know it will stay linear. So he says, if I've got a problem 50 years this linear, it's going to stay linear into the future. That's what it's going to do. And I know this. So he says, we're all here to figure out where this crisis is going. Remember, he's saying this in 2015, but I'm seeing it in 2018, 3 years of hindsight. And he's got this data, and he says, so where's it going? And he makes this plot. And he goes, pick a year. And he goes out here to 2018, and he says, and he puts the number, and he says, 50,000 people are going to die in 2018. That's the number. And he says, you believe that number? And he says, and I quote, I'll give you 2 to 1 odds. I'll give you 3 to 1 odds. That's what's going to happen in 2018. This is what actually happened. I knew that because it's 3 years later. I'm watching how much smarter than him. I just had data he didn't. Why was he so wrong? Why was he so wrong in his prediction? Because the paradigm. If I were to go to Dr. Berg, University of Pittsburgh, and challenge him, that is very, very smart guy, really good guy. If I go to him and say, you were so wrong, you said 50,000 deaths, it was 72,000 deaths in 2018. Why were you so wrong? What? You're a bad scientist. And he'd say, whoa. When I said 2 to 1 odds, 3 to 1 odds, this is what will happen in 2018. I meant unless the paradigm changes. Of course, everyone knew that. The paradigm changed. And when a paradigm changes, nobody can be trusted for data. I use this really silly example for this. If I come here to Long Island, New York, and somebody asks me to project book sales for next year, and I say, okay, and I go and I do my study, and I look at all the ways I figure out book sales. I look at book sales from last year, and I look at demographics, what the age distribution is, and so on and so forth, and I come back and I give a prediction. This is how many books will be sold next year in Long Island. You go, great, you print up all your books, you get ready to sell, and next thing you know, the virus passes over Long Island and everybody goes home. Obviously, I can't be held to my prediction. Blind people don't read books. That's a paradigm shift. There's a paradigm for book sales when people see, and there's a paradigm for book sales when people can't see. There's a paradigm of heroin, and there's a paradigm of fentanyl, and they're quite different. This paradigm of heroin, presumably, is continuing linear. We can presume that there's still this paradigm of the heroin drug overdose happening. But these fentanyl poisonings are something different. So when I first applied this data and looked at it, I said to myself, 2 things I know. When I look at this kind of data, so this is the actual that went like this, and this was the projected. And when I look at this difference, I say to myself, this is a paradigm shift. But there's something more important. Not only is this a paradigm shift, but when the paradigm shifts like this and the old paradigm continues, this gray area here is a definable data set. Who is that? What is that? See, everybody below the line, this is all that. So these are all dead. Well, so are these people, but they're obviously different. Addicts, not addicts. Virtual mom. Kid goes to a party, cross player, 3.6 GPA, goes to a party, takes a pill, gets bus. That's the new paradigm. That's it. And look what's happening to it. Look at the old paradigm. Look what's happening to our paradigm. Look what happened last year. Look at all these kids. Regular kids. Normal kids. No problems. No troubles. No struggles. One pill. One party. One time. This is the new paradigm, folks. And it's here for all of us. No one can escape this. I beg you, if you think your kid wouldn't take a Xanax pill at a party, I believe in the world of kids today, that's less than drink. Everyone's doing that, but they need to stop doing that. The one thing, my message to all these kids is not forget about your parents, what they did. Your big brothers and sisters could go to the frat house and take the pill, wake up the next morning, worst was going to happen was a hangover and a guilty conscience. You will die. Very likely. It's a different world. Why can't you go party like your big brothers and sisters did? I don't know. You got iPads, they didn't. I don't know. Life is different. It just is what it is. You can't do it. Forget it. No Percocet, no Xanax, no Adderall. You can't do it, and this is why. Look how much worse it's getting. This is last year to this year. No one's getting it. No one's stopping. They're still doing it. It has to stop. I'm sorry, Allison, do you have a question?
Nope, I was just saying, give you like 5 minutes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so, new paradigm. Here it is. The old paradigm of drug addiction. If I were here 10 years ago, I'd have to convince you all that your little cute 13-year-old kid is going to start fooling with drugs, and 2 years into that, fooling around and overdoing it at a party, they're going to get themselves a chemical dependency. They're going to go in, they're going to go out, they're going to go in rehab, and they're going to get recovery, and they're going to rehab, recovery, and 8 years later, they're going to get an overdose and die one day. And I'm thinking paradigms, because that's like the old Black Widow spider. She's in that dark corner of the web, and you go into that dark corner full of drugs, and you get caught. And you try to pull away, and it draws you in, you try to pull away, it draws you in, back and forth, and then one time you're wrapped up, she comes in and kills you. But then there's one spider over here. He doesn't know what's. He sits in the same dark corner, but when you're walking out in the light room, he runs out and attacks and kills you. That's it. Right? It's a very good indication of paradigm. One, I have to fool with it, and I have to get drawn in, and I've got a million chances to get myself free. The other, ain't nothing to happen. I'm just getting killed. Right? Old paradigm. Fool with drugs, recreational, rebellious, you got an injury, whatever, you got into drugs, you developed a chemical dependency, you used a few dozen more times, you're now deeply into addiction, you fail to get proper help, you become addicted. You use for 8 years, you go in and out of rehab, you go rehab and recovery, and relapse, and then one day, on the end of time, you get clean, or you die. But you had 10 years of chances, 10 years of opportunity. In the new paradigm that I'm talking about, you fool with drugs for the same recreational drugs for injuries, and you die first time you do it. Boom. No 10 years of time, no 8 years of time, no relapse and recovery to try to get sober. No, first time you do it, dead. Gone. No second chances, right? So the new paradigm solution is awareness. Awareness for the non-addicted. For all those kids who are not addicted, for kids who are not doing it out of dependency, but just doing it for fun. America is too cavalier with pills. More importantly, we're much too cavalier with other people's pills. I got to tell you the story. It drives me crazy. North Shore of Long Island, very nice neighborhood. My daughter dies. All family and friends over in our house. 2 days in the shadow of my daughter's death from acute fentanyl toxicity. 2 of her friends say to my wife, "Oh, poor Nancy, you're so upset." Xanax. True story. We're too cavalier with other people's pills. Stop sharing pills. We do a thing called, I'm going to say this one last thing, the magic wand question. Magic wand question, social science. If I had a magic wand and I could wave it to have one thing done, what would I do? In the year 2012, for the drug problem, my magic wand, what would it do? If I could wave it over America and cure one thing, what would I do? Cure the disease of addiction. In 2012, if I could have cured the disease of addiction, all this drug death would go away. Today, if I did, remember what's going to happen if I cure the disease of addiction, right? What's going to happen? I'm going to stop this problem. Big one's still going, right? So, what do I have to do with my magic wand today? Today's magic wand, I have to create the condition where no one again will ever take a pill that is not prescribed to them by their doctor, given to them at CVS with their name on the bottle. If we could do that today, we'd have 100,000 people alive next year who will not be alive next year. Don't take other people's pills. Don't trust when somebody says, I have a prescription. Please, just don't do it. We need to get this through everybody's heads. We need a massive, massive, effective campaign of just saying no to this drug. Okay? These kids will listen. You kids will listen. Why? You're not addicted to anything. You're not using out of a compulsion. You're using because what the heck? You want to get a buzz. Sure, why not? It's okay to get a buzz. Not anymore. Nothing okay about it. One party, one pill, one time. Just remember that. One party, one pill, one time. That's what's killing people. Tens of thousands of kids last year died on one party, one pill, one time. That's all it's going to take to kill you. And if you don't think this is a new paradigm, I know every single one of these kids. Believe me, they were not addicts. Believe me, they were not junkies. Believe me, they were never in an alley in their lives. Most of these kids took drugs 1, 2, 3, 4 times. And I know this guy here, 2-time Olympian, national champion, 2 Percocet pills because he never hurt his shoulder lifting. This poor guy, University of Northern Arizona, D1 linebacker, fentanyl. This guy, Tyler Skaggs, Major League pitcher, fentanyl. This is the new paradigm, folks. These people are just like you. They're just the same achievers that everybody here is in Long Island. They're all dead. Young kids, 13 years old, 14 years old, 15 years old. Don't do it. One party, one pill, one time is all it takes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have our local POP officers here. Officer Joe and Officer Eddie are here. They might have a perspective on what they're seeing on the North Shore of Long Island. If you just want to add anything to the discussion that's local, that would be great. And then, if there's any questions, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yep, just.
Mike's presentation was very powerful, as you can tell. He's spot on when he says that the North Shore of Long Island, wealthy neighborhoods are being hit with this problem. One time, you couldn't say it better than that. One time, one pill, one party. The worst call that we get. We get calls and unconscious 26-year-old male, unconscious 19-year-old female, took one pill. We hear that call, we show up, we already know as we're driving there, there's a fentanyl overdose. And then the worst thing is seeing the child or the young person, and then their parents. Awareness, start with the awareness. Try to get knowledge, teach your children. This is a major problem that we're dealing with.
Is there anything else that you're seeing the fentanyl in besides pills that people should be aware of?
Gateway is, I believe, marijuana.
No.
It's finding its way into marijuana.
Yeah. It used to be drinking, marijuana leads to other stuff, pills, hardcore drugs. Everything, like Mike was saying, is pretty much all with fentanyl.
And just something like the neighborhood that we're in, it's never happened in my neighborhood. It is. Don't think it's maybe the poor neighborhood, maybe it's happening. It's happening here. We're seeing it. So it's not because of the neighborhood where you live or what. Nowadays, like Mike said, it's still, it's just still. And then we're responding to more and more houses around here, all over. I mean, all over Long Island, everywhere. And it's just, the more knowledge you tell the kids, you know, you still feel whatever, just try to get to the kids, like I tell you, it's, like you're saying, it's really one time that can end it all.
And like every parent, you know, we want to give our kids everything. So I know I spoil my kids and we try to be good parents, and sometimes we do it too much. And maybe start by asking, hey, what are you doing with that? You know, where are you spending this money? Where are you going? Who are you with? And just ask questions. You could be a parent, right? We're all parents. That's what we do. We ask questions. We were young. We all tried to get all around our parents and do stupid stuff as children. But this is elevated to such a level that's so dangerous.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What are the signs of fentanyl overdose, and is there a window time frame that it can be reversed somehow?
Can I just repeat the question for Zoom? The question is, what are the signs of a fentanyl overdose and what can be done if you run into one?
Yeah, so of course, the treatment is what they call naloxone, which is brand name Narcan, you've heard of, the spray up the nose. So what happens is it's actually quite miraculous. Opioids attach to the mu receptors in your brain, in your lungs, and in your gut. And what naloxone does, it just basically knocks them back off. It literally undoes the overdose instantly. Now, the problem with this is, one of the reasons why fentanyl was invented is that it metabolizes much faster than natural morphine. That's why doctors like it, because it has a very quick action and it metabolizes and passes very quickly. So they can put you down and get you back up quickly. That's why we like it in medicine. The problem with that is it shortens. See, heroin, if I start to overdose on heroin, I'll know it, my friends will know it, someone can get the Narcan. The fentanyl is instantaneous. Coroner told me my daughter probably died within 1 to 2 seconds. So naloxone is the treatment. The signs of overdose, what an overdose is it's cardiac respiratory arrest, because the mu receptors in the lungs are responding and it's reducing your respiratory function. So what you got to do is get the person breathing, which is why when these guys come, they do the CPR and all that until you get them.
Speaking about the Narcan, as far as people who are addicted to drugs, we find out when we go to their houses, if it's an overdose, they already have Narcan in the house. So they feel like, oh, if I OD, someone will just give me a nasal spray of Narcan, I'll be okay. And they have that, I don't know, maybe assurance that they're going to be okay. But we've responded to calls where we Narcan people 2, 3, 4 times with Narcan. And I don't know if people think that's okay to have a Narcan, they'll be okay. But nothing's definite, you know, like really playing Russian roulette.
Can I add to that also? We just had a Saving Lives event. Some of you may be aware where the officers were with us. There was an opportunity for Narcan training. I just got Narcan trained, as well as some other people on the board. We will post and share the next opportunity for people to get Narcan, naloxone trained. So, you know, again, just follow us. We'll send it out in an email or post it on the website. Your other questions?
I would just make one further comment on that, and that is, I said there's analogs of the drug that get played with to skirt the law, one of which is what we call acetyl fentanyl. There are other ones too that can be more Narcan resistant. They have these, as I said, these little slightly different behavioral characteristics that change functional groups. But acetyl fentanyl gained reputation as the Narcan resistant fentanyl. And what happens is when you put the Narcan in, it knocks the receptors clean. The drug will come back and reattach again, and that's when you need your second or your third dose. Most first responders are only carrying 2 doses, and sometimes these people need 5 doses. They put them on an IV drip on all of this stuff because it keeps reattaching. So there's no guarantees with fentanyl. In the world of heroin, it was kind of predictable.
Very, very dangerous.
Now, the people who are dealing with them, do you see an improvement of arrest, or is it just,
So
one gets arrested and then there's 20 more to get caught, or?
there's always going to be a new player on the scene as far as dealing drugs. And if we do get a fentanyl overdose, it automatically goes to our protective squad, and they follow it up, and they actually try, with the help of other agencies, go after the fentanyl dealer, the manufacturer. And we've made numerous arrests on them. It just takes a long time.
Not only is it coming from Mexico, but then the place is so bring around how it ends up here, and like selling it for it is
It's everywhere now, because once you go to the pill form factor, that's the common denominator. Everybody will take a pill. That's what the genius was of the Mexican traffickers, to put it in the pill, which is the form factor everybody accepts. So believe me, that they're coming from Mexico, they're in North Shore High School. That's it. It's just, there's no point in thinking about how it just is, and that's that.
Just to put numbers again, so you had something up on the Phoenix field office, and what was the number?
10 million.
10 million in one field office.
Yeah, interdiction.
Over what time period?
A year. This year. So far, this year. And that's one field office, and that's interdiction. Remember, interdiction rates, now DEA says 10%. I'm sure that's pretty generous. 1%. So whatever those numbers are, multiplied by 100, that's what's getting in the country. So believe me, we are bringing in this stuff at between 1,000 and 3,000 times the rate we can possibly use it. It's everywhere. That's why I've turned my focus over the last 6 months from trying to deal with legislation and prosecution. And I've said there's only one thing to do: get to the kids and tell them, please don't do it. I think that's what we're down to. We're not going to stop it. The only person who can stop it is the young kid who says, I'm not taking that pill.
Any other questions? Are there any kind of presentations done at the high school level?
On this topic, the question was, are there any presentations at the high school? Not that I'm aware of on this topic. The school just did Red Ribbon Week, which was about substance use and avoiding substances. But I do not believe, and the school will correct me because they're on Zoom if I'm wrong, but I don't think that they have hit on fentanyl directly at this time. And if I'm wrong, we'll update the group on that. Well, I would like to thank Michael Gray. Thank you for this really powerful presentation. And I would just add to say to everybody, both on Zoom and here, we're now educated, and so my suggestion is go out and share this message: one party, one pill, one time. That's what we can do as a coalition, is get that information out to as many people as possible, because not everybody's going to come to these events and not everybody's going to tune in. So you can all share it in your circles with your friends and your kids. And this is recorded. We're going to share it on our website, hopefully tomorrow. So if you want anybody to tune in, you can let them know to come find us. And other than that, thank you so much. Please fill out your forms, and you can return them at the door on your way out. Thank you.